Good afternoon, everyone. It is indeed a honor and pleasure for me to be here and partner with PMI Chennai. And before I start off, I have to say this is a good-looking crowd, and everyone's pretty energetic. And since this is PMI, and I've been here since about 10 o'clock, 10:30 this morning, this conference is so far going on time, on budget, and in quality, right? Can we give that a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen? So kudos to all the volunteers for that. And I will also say that I am one of those, I used to be a project manager. I called myself a project manager because I took the PMP. Not a good decision. So I'm one of those believers that just because you have a PMP, you don't become a project manager. Some of you agree with me? Because one thing I cannot say in life is no. I say yes to everything, so it turned out to be a pretty bad experience for me. That being said, I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about who we are and what we do. It's going to be quick. I only have about 8-9 minutes since I've wasted the first couple of minutes. It is a honor for me to talk about this at the PMI Chennai conferences because all you folks are really playing a key role in your organizations, be it in IT services, being in manufacturing, and be it in whatever role that you do. And being the theme of the conference being work-life balance and working hard, I am coming from an angle of enabling you to work smart. And working smart is done through data. And working smart is done through the use of analytics in our day-to-day lives. I have to say that this conference really is talking about democracy at work. What does that really mean? When you talk about information and analytics and what we do at work, earlier it typically used to be that the CFOs and the CEOs and the business executives, those are the guys that want the reports every week, right? I think the doctor here was talking about the fact that I'm one of those suits, right? So I'm constantly asking my people for reports. I'm constantly asking for information on what our utilization was, what our invoices were, what our billing was, and all that good stuff from my organization. Unfortunately, the need for data and the need for information as it looks today in 2016 is very different. Everyone wants to mess with data. Everyone wants to get their own analysis. Our company is based out of New York. I'm based out of Dallas. However, I've quickly realized that selling business intelligence and analytics in India is slightly different. I once talked to an executive and told him in India, so this is something that you should really use because when you need information, it's in your fingertips. You can go do whatever you need. If you need a report, you don't need to ask your assistants to go get this report for you. You can have this by yourself. He just looked at me and said, but then what will my assistants do? If I have to do everything, then what will my assistants do? Then I realized it's a cultural shift as well. But unfortunately, that culture shift is coming everywhere. Everyone wants to mess with data. Everyone wants to understand how their business is doing. And with that, I really want to talk about these three themes. And if you take these three things today at the end of my now 6-minute session, this is what I want to really talk about. Data is everywhere. 90% of the world's data has been created in the past 2 years. How many of you know that? I see 4 hands. IoT and all this stuff that people talking about, 90% of everything has been created in the past 2 years and it's going to grow exponentially. Data is everywhere, whether we know it or not. Data is also the new oil. Who said that? Good job. Seems like you read The Economist and the Forbes and everyone talks about it. Data is the new liquid gold. It is the oil. What that means is data has to be treated like an asset. Data cannot be treated as something on a floppy drive. Data has to be treated in such a way that companies can exploit that in order for us to work smart. And finally, insight. Data is nothing, right? Data is everywhere. However, we need insight out of data. What do we learn from data? Unfortunately, insight now is just not reserved for the executives and the elites. Everyone needs information and everyone needs insight now. Insight for all and insight for now. With that being said, that is really the struggle within organizations today. Organizations struggle between the fact that who owns analytics? Who owns insights in an organization? Is it IT or is it business? Who says IT owns analytics? Anyone? Who says business owns analytics? All right. How many of you work in IT services companies here? About 80%. How many of you have done BI projects, analytics projects? It looks like IT owns analytics. Unfortunately, this is something that all of us have to really learn, right? Because everything we make it into an IT project, right? Everything is that, it's like, hey, I have to clean data, I have to prepare data, I have to create this into a data mart, I have to do this, I have to do that. You need to do a 3.5-year data warehouse project, which might not fail unless they hire some of you great project managers, that you might be actually able to gain insights. So this is a church versus state type conversation that is going on everywhere in the world, as in who owns analytics. So now the answer is, like our judge said in the previous session, everyone. Business owns analytics as well, and data and IT owns analytics as well, right? And how does that happen? So we at Amtex are really in the forefront of answering that question, right? So just repeating those themes, and what I'm talking about is analytics for everyone is truly empowered by what we call in a 3-step process, where the business owns it on the first level, where we say if the business wants to self-serve, if the business wants to understand, chances are you don't want them calling your help desk every day, asking you to open a ticket because their data is clean, zip codes are not integers. Anyone? The US zip codes are not integers, right? Because they start with zeros. That's the largest data quality problem that they have everywhere. So chances are that business needs to enable themselves with something. IT needs to be able to clean data, maintain data, but then at the end of the day, information and insight needs to be democratized so that everyone can have access, and that's not the elites. So this is really what we want to talk about, what we are talking about at our booth, and this is what at Amtex we do. So I'd love to sit and talk to you guys, obviously outside, since I have 3 minutes left, is think about this on how you can work smarter and how you can enable your clients to work smarter. And how we at Amtex, we are a 17-year-old company, I would say, but our BI practice is relatively new. We're almost in the startup stage. We're always looking for smart people to come in and join us in this journey. We are based out of New York. We have an office here in Chennai and in Gurgaon. So this is the journey that we are in. I hope all of you understand the fact that data is the new liquid gold. It is the new oil. You are here all to provide insights to your organizations. And once you figure that piece out, you can essentially manage and work smarter and get to that work-life balance. I have a couple of slides about how these tools look. This is really not the forum to talk about that, but my assistant put that in there, so what the hell. I'm just going to show these to you, pretty pictures. These are like item numbers, right? No matter how good the film is, you want an item number. So no matter how crappy your internal system is, the boss always wants a pretty chart. That's the pretty chart. So that's what we want to show. So that's what we have, and I'd love to talk to you guys about that. And finally, I'd just like to leave you with this slide. Everyone talks about IQ. Everyone talks about EQ. What I'd like to talk about, are you AQ? How much analytic quotient do you have? How do you think with data? Opinions don't mean nothing. Insight matters, and insight is derived from data, right? So once all of us are analytically aware of what we are doing, both from a family front, work front, I think we all tend to work smarter. And I'd love to talk to you guys and have this conversation later. And I hope you learned something that you haven't learned before. And I appreciate the opportunity from PMI Chennai. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a phenomenal conference.